All right, it is Thursday. It is time for the final Behind the Table of 2025. And who better to be here with me than the lovely, the talented, the passionate Anna Navarro and Cha Cha. Hello, Anna.
Hello, Brian.
This week started in about as bad a place as you could start a week. The weekend was filled with tragedy, the mass shootings at Bondi Beach and Brown University, and of course, the tragic killings of Rob and Michelle Reiner. You were very, very critical. You were far from alone in being very critical of President Trump's response to it. If there's anything heartening about the response, this response, it was that a lot of people stood up across the aisle, maybe not as many as we wanted, but what was your feeling about Trump's response to this and how the Republican Party's response?
Well, his response to this was, it could not be worse. And I hate it when they try to equate it with, because some, far left liberals said this about Charlie Kirk. Okay, there are fringe people on both sides who say crazy things.
Which was
wrong. But I refuse to accept that as the norm from the President of the United States.
Right.
If you ran to represent all Americans, at the very least, at a time of national sadness and shock, you should be capable of expressing some degree of empathy. And I think he sees empathy as a sign of weakness. And I think the reason that his attacks on Rob Reiner struck such a nerve is, first of all, obviously Rob Reiner is beloved and his movies are beloved, regardless if you're Republican or Democrat. One of the guys, Ted Cruz, every time you put a microphone in front of him, starts quoting from The Princess Bride. It's his favorite movie. Mm-hmm. So all of us, have a favorite Rob Reiner movie. But more than that, if you are an American family that has not been terribly affected, impacted by a loved one addicted to drugs, count yourself lucky. There are American families today, and that for years have battled their children's addictions, never given up on those children, gone to bed night after night, wondering if they're going to get that dreaded call telling them that their child is in prison or their child is in jail or their child is dead. I'm one of those families. My husband's daughter, Joanna, from his first marriage, died of the effects of drug addiction. He was the chairman of the Republican Party of Florida when this happened. It doesn't matter if you are a Republican or a Democrat. This is an American epidemic. And I think so many people can relate to this, to the fear, the frustration, the desperation, the love from parents trying to save their children and not being able to do so over and over again for years. And so the cruelty that he expressed towards Rob Reiner wasn't just to Rob Reiner. It was to every parent who is battling with their child's addiction right now, hoping to save that child and afraid to death that they will not be able to. And it's just, it's disgusting. It is so incredibly cruel towards a grieving family. There are 2 children whose parents were killed and whose brother is now in jail about to stand trial. These people were found by the daughter. The circumstances could not be more tragic.
Just more horrific.
This happened, on the second night of Hanukkah, during the holiday season. The circumstances could not be more tragic. And that his response is that. And about the Brown University, what did he say about that? He said, things happen. It is, so the weekend began with the Brown University incident where 2 students were killed by a mass shooter who 6 days in is still on the loose.
Yeah.
And it made me think that Sandy Hook was basically this same weekend, well over a decade ago, where 22 people, most of them little children, got killed.
Horrific.
And it is a disgrace in this country, a disgrace that over a decade has happened since Sandy Hook, when children lost their lives just before the holidays. And we have managed to pass zero when it comes to effective gun legislation. What happened in Australia was horrific, but the next day they were already planning the legislation they're going to introduce on guns and on anti-Semitism. What the hell is wrong with America that we keep seeing these senseless murders happen and we do nothing about it and have learned to accept it as normal and just go on and wait for the next mass shooting? What the hell are we doing? We have failed our youth. That children go to school afraid for their lives and have to do mass shooting drills. That college students don't know when somebody's going to break through the door and kill them with a gun. I just, I don't know how we continue calling ourselves such a great country and America first and exceptionalism in America if we can't get this epidemic, these two epidemics, drugs and guns, fixed.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like anything can move those needles.
Yeah, but we can't say that and we can't accept that.
No, I agree. And, I've got
two kids.
Yeah, and they'll be college age before I know it. And it's scary. And even in elementary schools and even in junior high and in high school, it's very scary.
Do your kids have to do gun drills?
Yeah. Yeah, of course. The other...
We did fire drills.
Exactly. Yeah.
Remember the age of innocence?
Yeah.
Back when you did fire drills in school instead of gun drills.
Yeah.
Back when you took a normal backpack instead of a bulletproof backpack. I mean, just crazy.
I want to get your opinion on the other big story from this week. It was Vanity Fair. You weren't on the show when we talked about it. There was a series of interviews with Trump's White House Chief of Staff, Susie Wiles, who I believe you know a little bit. Mm-hmm. It caused a lot of headlines. She spoke very candidly with a reporter for 11 different interviews, all on tape. There were conversations at the table. Was this because she wants to have an exit strategy? Was this because... why do you think someone would speak so critically of the administration on the record like this?
I definitely don't think it's an exit strategy, and I definitely disagree with anybody who thinks that this is about her distancing herself from Trump and her legacy. Susie Wiles doesn't care about her legacy. Susie Wiles is an operator who has been behind the scenes the entire time. She's not one who seeks the limelight. She's not one who, seeks to have her name etched in stone. That's just not who she has been her entire life. I think this is a woman who is incredibly loyal. Also, she's 70 years old. She's 68, 69 years old. It's not like she's looking for her next stage in life. She's a nice lady from Tallahassee who's probably going to go back and live a normal life. I think that part of why she's there as chief of staff is because she's got a very unique relationship with Trump. She seems to be able to control him as much as Trump can be controlled. But look, I think that Washington and New York and the media corridor is the only place where a woman saying the truth can be a scandal. Everything she said, and nothing that she said in those interviews was surprising or should have been surprising. What did she say? That Pam Bondi had whiffed, I think is the word she used, basically screwed up the Epstein files.
Well, I mean,
who doesn't know that?
She did some damage to the court cases that Trump's pursuing. She did definitely damage the vice president.
Okay,
I think.
but everything she said, my point is, everything that Susie Wiles said in that Vanity Fair interview is something that we all know is true. It's just they haven't admitted it out loud. We know that he is in a vindictive retribution campaign against Letitia James and James Comey. We know that Pam Bondi screwed up the handling of the Epstein files. We know that J.D. Vance is a conspiracy theorist who, until a few years ago, was calling Trump the American Nazi and then turned around because of political convenience. We know that that the reason they are bombing boats off the coast of Venezuela and have 1/4 of the Navy assets parked in front of Venezuela is because they want regime change. She just said all of these things that we know.
But that's
she
unusual.
Said them out loud.
Generally speaking, the person running the White House doesn't do that, and on both sides, not just Republicans.
No, and I think it is. Listen, I think this is that she got way too comfortable
Well, you and I talked
with
about this.
a guy. He's the guy who wrote the article is Whipple. I can't remember his first name, but he's a guy who's known for writing the books about chiefs of staff when they leave.
Yeah.
And so
and cementing their legacies in many ways.
But he's also, he's also an older guy. Like he's a gray head, right? Yeah. He's not one of these young whippersnapper journalists. And I think, she was talking to him for months and months and months, for hours and hours and hours, and I think she got too comfortable. It's happened to me.
Well, it's Chris
And
Whipple.
I consider myself, to be media savvy. Reporters are very good.
Has it happened to you, Anna? Really?
But listen, that's why for years now, I do not speak to any reporters because I realized years into this that anytime they wanted any information from me, it wasn't going to be good for me. It was going to be good for them and their story.
But now,
so
Susie Wiles,
I just don't let my guard down.
An incredibly intelligent, savvy person who knows the ins and outs of politics, who's clearly spoken to reporters in her career many times.
I don't think she's as media savvy as you think she is. I think she might have been around reporters. I don't think she sits down for interviews. I think she is a behind the scenes operator. I think that's the way she likes it. I think she got too comfortable with this guy and told him things and basically did tell him all of these things because she hasn't denied any of it, and he's got her on tape. It's amazing to me that knowing that you're being recorded, you say all of these things.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, listen, I am a behind-the-scenes operator.
You think what?
I'm a behind-the-scenes operator. When I rarely give an interview, I am prepared as I can be. And if I mess up, I know it right afterwards, and I'm not sitting down again for another one.
But you never give an interview without our comms person sitting next to you or having brief. Okay, I think she got very, very comfortable and just let her guard down. Yeah. And then,
but I'm going to go on the record and say Susie's smarter than I am. I don't know why that she would allow this to happen accidentally. That's it. I don't know.
Because she thought they were communicating in a different level of friendship. No, I'm not going to argue with you.
Yeah, fine.
And I think, she thought she was talking to like a contemporary, a colleague of sorts, and I think she's a straight shooter and candid person. And I think she wasn't watching out what she was saying. Now, I'll tell you, the interview is really bad for Trump, right? And for the entire cabinet and for everybody. And it lays bare the truth about what's going on in that administration.
Well, I want to give her side of it because Susie Wiles claims that her comments were not correctly characterized, calling the article a disingenuously framed hit piece with significant context disregarded. That being said, as you pointed out, all of these quotes are on tape. So they interviewed other people. Maybe they didn't contain every possible thing.
I got taken out of context is what you say when
you have a bad
you
quote.
said the stuff.
Yeah.
And you got no idea how to, roll it back. When you can't say he's misquoting me.
Mm-hmm.
I got taken out of context is what you say when you can't say he's misquoting you.
Right.
And how could she got taken out of context when he's got the question and the answers in the interview. He asks her, they're having entire conversations about the Epstein files, about the different members of the cabinet. I don't know what more context you want. If you read the article, you see it. Now, where I do think it was a hit piece, but I will tell you, I think it was a hit piece because of the White House negligence, unprofessionalism, and sheer stupidity were the pictures.
No, the pictures
I mean, everybody looks like a ghoul, right? Like, J.D. Vance, I mean, there are these extreme close-ups of all of these members of Trump's inner circle. J.D. Vance looks like he is a second away from turning into a werewolf. Susie Wiles looks like she stuck her finger in an electric outlet. Carolyn Levitt, you can see the track marks of her lip filler injections. She's 28 years old, and she looks like she's 68 because of the close-up and all the layers of makeup. Marco Rubio looks like he is rotting from the inside out. It's like a black and white picture. Stephen Miller just looks like Stephen Miller. That's how he always looks. But there's a very interesting interview with the photographer, who is a very well-known
It's in the
photographer.
Washington Post, right? Yeah.
The Washington Post. His last name is Anderson. I can't remember his first name. And he says, this is what I do. When I do political portraits, I like them to be very close up. My book, he's got a book that, that they could have perused through. They would have seen all of these close-ups. He says, I like to get past the pomp and circumstance and glam of politics and get to the real person. So their mistake was letting that be the photographer, because they approved that photographer. Now, what's hilarious, though, the part that's hilarious is, these people all showed up in their best threads and with, makeup done and the entire thing. And thinking, oh man, we're gonna be, we have a Vanity Fair photo shoot, and then they wind up looking like Halloween characters in a horror movie.
Well, the photographer is Christopher Anderson, who was renowned, and apparently the White House did sign off on beforehand. But all right, let's move on to some lighter things. Although I do urge people to check that article out.
But on the Venezuela thing, though, yes. Before we move from that, because it's one of the things that she said, I have been saying from day one, this is not about drugs. This is about regime change. And I have said I am in favor of regime change. Yes. What I don't understand is why Trump doesn't talk about why we should be doing regime change in Venezuela. That Maduro is a dictator, that Maduro oppresses his people, that Maduro has confiscated U.S. property, that Maduro has taken U.S. American citizens as hostages and held them for years, that he has stolen an election, remained them through power. Yes, he is indicted in the United States for drug trafficking. All of those things, just don't try to pull the wool over Americans' eyes. Don't try to fool Americans into thinking that this is about drugs when fentanyl does not come from Venezuela. Don't try to tell Americans that you are blowing up these boats off the coast, the Caribbean coast of Venezuela, when that's not the route that those drug traffickers use. I think what I think he should be doing is getting international support for more countries, the countries that Maduro is exporting drugs to in Europe, other countries that were, there was an entire coalition of countries that were putting pressure on Maduro when he first stole the election. That same coalition should be together, continuing to put pressure. The problem is that the tactics he's using of being a strong man, of being kind of like the boat gun diplomacy, the carry the big stick American. And one of the things that Susie Wiles says in that interview, which I've also been saying from day one, is that this is all Marco Rubio advice. Because she says people much smarter than me on this issue, i.e. Marco Rubio, say that if he keeps squeezing Maduro, Maduro will get out. So I don't know. I mean, he keeps upping the pain level on Maduro and Venezuela, and the guy's still there. I hope he gets out. I really hope he gets out, but I don't know what we do if he doesn't. I mean, I just cannot imagine a ground war in Venezuela, and that the American people want that. I want Maduro out.
All right. Well, let's move on to some lighter things. You mentioned to me that you ran into one of the all-time great legends, Goldie Hawn. How was that?
Oh my God, do I love her. So I've always loved her. Sure. I think she's so funny. And I grew up watching her movies, right? Private Benjamin, I love so much. She did so many movies with Chevy Chase. Yep. I love The First Wives Club. And so I went to the premiere of Song Sung Blue.
Yes, we had Kate Hudson and Hugh Jackman on the show
Kate
this
Hudson,
week.
her daughter, plays one of the leading roles. The movie is terrific. It comes out on Christmas Day. I really urge everyone to go watch it, because if you need 2 hours of a palate cleanser, this is a movie that you're going to sing along to, that's going to make you cry, that's going to get you in your feelings. It's just a great, great movie. And so Goldie Hawn is at the premiere here in New York. And I went up to her and I, introduced myself, and we were talking. And I said to her, Kate is coming to the View. Is there something I should tell the producer that you think we should ask her? And she said, oh, Katie's just like me. You can ask her anything. And then she said, I tried out for The View. And I said,
couldn't
what?
believe this.
She said, yes. Back when it started, Barbara was looking for somebody, Barbara Walters, and she invited me to co-host, and we were talking about Linda Tripp. So this has got to be 97, 98. We
Right.
should look up the tape.
Yeah.
And she says, and Barbara, who she didn't know at the time, was actively seeking an interview with Monica Lewinsky, to have the first interview with Monica Lewinsky. She says, Barbara was out there attacking Linda Tripp and calling her a snitch. And I pushed back, says Goldie Hawn, and I said, oh, I think that's too harsh. I don't think I'd call her a snitch. And Barbara said, well, what would you call her? She said, oh, a tattletale. And she said that was the end of her audition to be a co-host on The View. Wow. But I told her she should come and co-host with us. She's 80 years old. She is in extraordinary shape. She is hilarious. She is unfiltered. She knows about everything that's going on. She's just terrific.
She's a generational movie star.
And it really touched me. That she and Kurt Russell and the rest of the family had all flown to New York to attend that movie premiere
great.
and just support her little girl. She was so proud. It was wonderful.
Overboard is a top 10 movie.
You know which one I love? Like the one of my favorite scenes in the world, and I don't know what the movie is. You know the one where she's like so overworked and so tired. She's having lunch and she flops into her like chicken salad.
I'm trying to think what it is.
But do you know the scene I'm talking about?
I can picture the scene, but I can't remember the movie.
So I told her that's my favorite scene, and that Trump has me most days where I think I'm just about to plop into my chicken salad.
All right, I believe it.
In my life, it would probably be me plopping into a couple of tamales, but
well, either way, the plopping is really the important part. All right, tell me what you'll be doing for the holidays. Something luxurious and wonderful, I'm sure.
Yes,
of course.
I am. We're leaving to Spain, which is one of my favorite countries. It is beautiful over the holidays. They light up all the streets. They have such beautiful Christmas traditions. We have a lot of family there. Al has a bunch of first cousins who are just wonderful people, and we really enjoy. But can I tell you what happened to me? So I'm going to be in Madrid most of the holidays, and I was looking at what to do over New Year's. So I was looking at what, the different parties going on in hotels and different menus at restaurants. And then I called Eva Longoria. Go ahead, drink. Eva just did these shows for CNN called Searching for Spain. Yes. So she knows Spain very well, and she's living there part of the time in Marbella. So I tell Eva, where should I go for New Year's in Madrid? And she goes, no, come here. I'm going to be in Marbella. Come to come to the house. We're going to have a party list. We're going to have a dinner. And I said, I've never been to Marbella. I've always been curious about it. Let me look at doing that. So I rent a car. It's like a 5-hour drive, 5.5-hour drive. I rent a car. I'm getting excited about the possibility of going to Marbella to visit Eva for New Year's. And I try to rent an Airbnb apartment on the beach, the Golden Mile, it's called. It's this beautiful. Okay. And Airbnb sends me an email saying that I can't reserve because they suspect I'm going to have an unauthorized disruptive party.
They looked you up. They know. Yeah. That's amazing. You're on the banned list from Airbnb?
And I said, and so then they give you, there's an appeal process, so I appealed and I said, look, I'm a menopausal 53-year-old. I'm going to be 54 by then. My husband's 70, in his 70s. We are not going to go have a party in Marbella for New Year's. We're going to go visit our friends. They upheld their decision.
Yeah, I mean, I can't blame them. I'm going to be honest. I've heard some stories. You enjoy a party.
Yeah, but I'm going to go party at Eva's house, not mine.
Well, they don't know that.
I mean,
and honestly, parties go to a second location. You might bring people back to the Airbnb.
You're not helping my case here.
Yeah.
I think
Estefans could show up. A lot of things could happen. We don't know.
I think because it's New Year's.
Yes.
I think because it's
I'm sure
Marbella,
that's
which
what
is
it
a
is.
party town. I think because it's
sure it's
right
not-
on the
I'm
beach
sure
where
it's not
there's
you.
fireworks.
Yeah.
You know what I'm really looking forward to, in
What?
addition to seeing Eva and being in Spain and celebrating? Eva has a dog that is the twin of Chacha. She's got
Oh.
a toy poodle, same colors, same. Its name is Gala, and there is nothing that brings me more joy than Chacha Square, than cuddling, than having one
Twice the Chacha,
in
twice
each
the fun.
arm and sleeping with them and cuddling. I mean, I'm going to take it from Eva's house, and I mean, as for now, I'm homeless in Marbella.
Yeah. You did have a party where the police showed up. We talked about it on the podcast.
Twice.
Yeah, maybe in Spain they're listening to Behind the Table and they know all this stuff. It's possible. All right. We're out of time. Thank you for joining me today, Anna.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Happy New Year.
You too.
Happy holidays.
Yes.
May the new year bring all of us great things. Let's take a little break.
I plan to.
Let's, disconnect a little bit. Let's find that balance and moments of joy that we're always talking about, because
Yes.
there's a lot of heavy things happening in the world. So
I'm with you. I think that's what we need.
Be merry
Absolutely. So
and bright.
As I said before, this is our last episode of Behind the Table for the year, but thank you for listening. Happy holidays for all of us at The View. If you're looking for a Christmas gift for me, leave us a 5-star review. Subscribe. Like us. Leave us positive
Okay, I'm
comments.
gonna go do that because I haven't bought I haven't bought one Christmas gift.
That's all I want for Christmas. And
It's a 5-star
it's
review?
a 5-star review.
And people, please go on. He reads every comment. Go tell him how bright he is. Tell him he's good looking.
Oh,
tell
thank
him
you.
he's smarter than Susie Wiles.
Yes.
Tell him that he's media savvy.
Yes.
The best conductor, moderator of any podcast you've ever heard
keep it
in the
coming.
history of the world. What
Wow.
else?
That's great. No, I'm going to get a tape of you saying that and just play it at night. We'll be back with new episodes on Monday, January 5th, and we'll see you then.
Your wife will think I've had a stroke.
Perhaps. Tomorrow, new episode of The View, too, our Christmas show. It'll be great. See you then.
Behind the Table is executive produced by Brian Teta. Supervising producers are Nathan Getty and Summer Shade. Associate producers are Emily Darcy and Katerina Alexopoulos, and our editor is Brian Davis. Our digital coordinator is Molly Kaiser, and director of publicity is Laurie Hogan. From ABC Audio, Trevor Hastings serves as senior producer, with director of podcast programming Josh Cohen.